It's another coaching reunion between Oklahoma coaches Brent Venables, Josh Heupel. Let's talk about it here on the crossover edition.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We got another crossover for you all. Locked On Vols, Locked On Sooners. So thank you all for tuning in every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there for tuning in and subscribing to the shows. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets used across the app. Download the app today. That is Eric Cain from Locked On Vols. I'm Jay Smith from Locked On Sooners, and we got some fun stuff to talk about. Oklahoma and Tennessee this weekend, so it's going to be a fun matchup. It's going to be another big-time offense versus Brent Venables' defense. Let's see if the defense shows up this week. But we'll talk about each side of the ball. But, Eric, thank you for joining as usual. Talk to me. How is the season going for you all in the mind of Vols fans?
I mean, you know, I say it all the time. Fan, short for fanatic. I know it's like this in other places, not just Knoxville, Tennessee. But I mean, you would think that Tennessee was like 4-8. I mean, you would think Tennessee's 5-7. Like the world is the sky's falling. I mean, everything's on fire. Like, and the way Tennessee's defense has played this year, it's not been good. I mean, it's weird, Jay, man. Like, Tennessee does a few things truly at an elite level. We can talk about this later on. Truly at an elite level. The rest of the things defensively, like, worse in the league. It's incredibly awful to watch every single week. So, like, on that side of it, you're just like, you're so frustrated. Then you see the offense, man. I mean, what Joey Aguilar is doing, what, you know, Josh Heupel, Joey Halxzle, you know, what these receivers are doing. Like, I mean, just like we all drew it up in August, right? So, leading the SEC. Mm-hmm. So, that's been fun. But overall, I mean, it's a team and a fan base that's energized, ready to roll. I think everybody's pumped up for this game, knowing that this is a college football playoff eliminator game for both teams. Okay, you can't make the playoffs of this win, but you can play yourself out of it. So it's been a fun year, but I think there's been a lot of frustrations defensively, just like I know there's frustrations for Oklahoma's defense from against Ole Miss.
Yeah, and it's funny because, I never miss on a moment to pat myself on the back, but I had a feeling that Joey Aguilar was going to be that dude in Heupel's system. He felt like someone that fit the way Heupel wanted to play offensively, and I got lucky that he actually showed up and made me look good for a change. Even though
that is send me some lottery numbers for sure, because that was quite the take back there in July. Because I mean, nobody like. It's been so much fun to watch, man. I think that this story, and I know we'll talk about this more. But this story is not getting enough pub, in my opinion. I mean, it's one of the best stories in all college football.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the best ones, and even for Oklahoma, right? Like you said, fan is short for fanatic. They're trying to fire everybody already for the second week in a row. Even after the South Carolina win, I had people say we need to fire everybody. I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, we win the game and you want us fired. We lose the game, you want them fired. If we do somehow win this one and we make it to a playoff, they're going to want everybody fired again. Yep. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do anymore. But I love those fans that are realistic and understand that the new era of college football is so much different. It's going to, in some situations, you're going to have to rebuild sides of the ball very often. Kids can hit the portal. You're going to be portaling guys in. So there's so many moving parts or whatnot. But from there, that is a interesting thing, because Tennessee's defense was pretty darn elite last year, in my personal opinion. It was really good. Was there that many people that left and injuries on top of that has caused this defense to kind of fall apart?
You had a couple guys who left to the NFL. James Pierce, first rounder. Your safety, who was a walk-on, who is your best safety, who was tied for the SEC lead with 4 picks last year. He was gone. You lost a linebacker, but you also lost him halfway through last year, so you were already kind of playing without him.
Right, used to it.
So you lost a couple of game breakers, but you lost the defensive tackle depth. And this year, you have played your entire year without All-American cornerback Jamal McCoy. Your other starting cornerback, Ricky Gibson, played the first quarter of the opener, and he's been out, and he'll be out the rest of the way. You were without 3 of your top 5 defensive tackles for the first 3 or 4 games this year. But again, you can't just blame it all on injuries, right? I mean, this Tennessee team, and the more you study the Tennessee, you'll see it if you watch tape, or you'll see it on Saturday, probably. It's like missed tackles, not being in position and missing tackles, poor leverage, not setting the edge, like elementary things in football. But obviously it's tougher to execute that on the SEC level, but they just continuously make those mistakes. So sure, they lost some guys. They've had a ton of injuries. But that's not an excuse for being statistically this poor. It's been mind-numbingly weird because all offseason I was like, Nico left. All right, it is what it is. I mean, Joey Aguilar comes in, just throw up the same stat line Nico did, ride this defense, run the football, and you're going to be good. Did not shake out that way.
The complete opposite. It's been we're riding Joey Aguilar, and I think the one thing that jumped out to me too for Tennessee is Deshaun Bishop has shown up. Yeah. Like he said that yeah, Sampson's gone. Sure, who cares? I got this. Get on my back, boys. And that has actually been a pretty, to me, a big component of, because of course we know in Josh Heupel's offense, you got to be able to run the ball too. Running is critical in order for that veer and shoot to really work, because if everyone's focused on putting out, 6 corners and chasing those wide receivers, it gets a little bit more murky. You got to have guys that you got to force the defenses to adjust to paying attention to a dude that can come out the backfield and run around. And for Oklahoma, that's one of the things that was one of our strengths for the most part. We haven't given up a 100-yard rusher yet this season. That's probably the only thing that we've done that I can say has been great. We've gotten guys close. We've gotten guys got around 90 yards. We had 78 last week for Keywan Lacey. And we're also very susceptible to a guaranteed big run every single game. And it's more of everybody loses their spots. The running back guts through trash, breaks tackles because for tackling feels like a bad epidemic in the SEC in general. Everybody can't wrap up. No. They break out and they're gone for like a 40 to 60 to 70 yard run. So I know Oklahoma's going to have to focus on Deshaun Bishop and make sure he doesn't kill us. But is Joey Aguilar is he really mobile? Because I don't feel like I've really seen him really just run around, at least for scrambling yards, outside of when it looks like it makes sense to run. Yeah,
and outside of when it makes sense to run, he doesn't run much. Now he like inside the 10, they're going to run, and they're going to put 12 personnel in there, and they're going to go hat on a hat and get him in the end zone. They did that against Georgia, did that against Mississippi State to tie that football game late in the fourth quarter to force overtime. But outside of that, they're not going to just dial it up for him. Now he's crafty, man. Like pocket will, collapse and he'll step up, or he'll evade to his left, keep an eyes downfield, throw the football. Sometimes he'll run. I mean, his ability to avoid pressure, and keep his eyes downfield has been really impressive. But to answer your question, no, he's not super mobile, but inside the 10, maybe 4th and short, something like that, they'll call his number, and he's good enough to go get those yards. Tell me about Mateer's. Mateer obviously injured, missed a couple of games. He's come back. I've said repeatedly last couple of weeks, he just doesn't look like himself. You would know better than me, obviously. But one of the things that's been very different about him is he hasn't ran. He hasn't ran a lot, or he hasn't had running success since his injury. I think he ran it 10-plus times, last game against Ole Miss. I think 35 yards in 3 games is all he's done so far. Like, what's his mobility and health like right now?
So, rumor I heard was that he hurt his knee in the Auburn game. So he's just got a little bit of a sprain, nothing that would make you not be able to play. But it seems like he is nervous when it comes to really just making the decision that I'm going to run and then running. Now, when he actually has a laser focus of, I go through my progressions, my 1, 2, 3 here, and I see this side of the field out of the corner of my eye and no one's there, he'll break and go, and he'll get the yards he needs to get like a first down. He'll sometimes run for over 10. But since that Auburn game, which, a lot of people, it's funny, a lot of people have been pointing out they think the Texas game is what broke him. I think the Auburn game broke him. I think once he hurt his thumb and he actually sprained his knee, it's just he's nervous about which one he should do. And he's even said himself, he's like, my thumb's fine. He said it actually after practice on Monday night that my thumb's fine. I'm good there. I'm just not seeing the field the way I need to, and I'm not seeing enough of the field. And I got to ask the question of Ben Arbuckle, what are we doing to make sure this dude sees the darn field? To me, you got to design those plays where all head coaches and offensive coordinator type guys do this. They even do it in the NFL. Sometimes you got to have that play where you say, this dude's going to be open, throw it to him. You probably need to put a couple of more in there just to make him say, look over here more often. This guy is running wide open. I think I wanted to throw my phone at my TV in the Ole Miss game. 12 seconds left. Deion Burks is streaking down the other side of the field wide open, and there's a touchdown. That puts the game at 2 points. You go for a 2-point conversion and possibly tie it. He just didn't even look that direction and ended up just buzzing one at somebody's knees and leaving it at 6 seconds. So it's his head. It's not his body to me, but you're right. He hasn't ran as effective as he has before because it feels like he's not making the decision to do that. And so speaking of decisions, let's talk about this Tennessee offense a little bit more. How is it going to go up against this Oklahoma defense on this crossover edition of Locked On? The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get into action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting. I always jump into it when I can, especially when your team's making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And once again, thank you for making Locked On Vols and Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there for tuning and subscribing to the show. We're part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're talking to Eric, Cain, and Jay Smith, Locked On Sooners, Locked On Vols. Eric, got to talk to you about this Tennessee offense more. The wide receiver room, once again, is elite. Like, how are y'all breeding them? Like, do y'all have a conveyor belt factory? Do y'all have something on campus? Is it coming out of the water? Like, what are y'all doing to create these wide receivers?
Well, it's funny, man, because last year the wide receiver room was awful. Great athletes in there, but they were not good. Dante Thornton was hurt majority of the year. Brew McCoy was a good player. Squirrel White had a good run at Tennessee. He was not good last year. And then there was some other guys that kind of transferred out. But wide receiver room was not good enough last year. Honestly, wide receiver room wasn't good enough in 23. 22, it was great. Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman, Ramel Keaton, so on and so forth. But this year, like, the guys in the room, man, and like coming into the offseason, it's like, okay, so your wide receivers weren't very good last year, and they've all left. The only one that's returned that's played is Chris Brazel. He made a couple of plays last year. He beat Alabama on a really nice fade into the end zone, but he was not consistent. He's one of the best receivers in the country right now, Chris Brazel. And then you got Mike Matthews, a former 5-star prospect that has really come along on the other side. Braylon Staley in the slot is the perfect slot wide receiver in this offense. Played a lot against Ohio State in the playoff. But Tennessee pretty much plays 3 wide receivers. They have a small rotation, and they just run. And against Kentucky, all 3 of those guys got over 100 yards receiving, which is really, really cool. I think Brazel and Matthews have both surpassed 100 yards together 3 times this year. So, they don't play a lot of wide receivers, but they're very impactful. They're good. I think I think Heupel, Joey Halxzle, I think they had to do a self-scout, like a serious self-scout after last year and say, okay, here's our offense. 2 years in a row, it's not been where we kind of wanted it. Is it Alex Golish not being here? Is it Hendon Hooker not being here? Is it us? What's going on here? Bring in Seth Litrell, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a moment as well. He incorporates some new designs and some concepts. Tennessee, expands, does more motions. That way they can single out, what's going on. Defense has to declare some things. They did that a lot against Kentucky by lining a wide receiver in the backfield and sending him in motion just to get that man to follow him. They've done more. It sounds so silly, like basic route concepts. Tennessee ran goes and posts and digs for 4 years. And then now Tennessee's also running drags and quick outs and scroll routes and just underneath stuff to help your quarterback out. So that's been great to see. They've been throwing the football to the running backs out of the backfield, which they never did. And the running backs could have like 4 more touchdowns if they could catch. That's another conversation. But it's been great. It's been really, really cool to see the evolution of this offense. I think Litrell has a big reason for that. I think Joey Halxzle and Josh Heupel. I mean, again, just kind of looking in the mirror saying, hey, we need to evolve a little bit. What can we do? and this offense has been really good. Plus, it helps when you got that quarterback that's really, really good, Joey Aguilar.
You got a quarterback that's not afraid to throw the ball. Sometimes you want him to pull back on not being afraid to throw the ball because you don't want to throw like a pick six at the end zone. That was one of those where I knew he wanted that back as soon as he let it go. He's like,
let me just say this too, and then I obviously we got to talk about Oklahoma too. Like if you just look at the stat sheet, if you don't watch all Tennessee's games and you know Joey Aguilar, like where he came from, like he threw 24 picks in 2 years at App State. Man, this guy's gonna be a turnover machine. Then you see his stats like, he's thrown 6 picks. I'm not shocked. And I say this every week, and it's going to come across like I'm a sunshine pumper and I'm just a homer. Good. Listen to me, though. Like, the pick six against Alabama, awful, terrible. Yeah, that was all him. 2 interceptions off the hands of Miles Kitselman, your tight end. That was a Mississippi State. I'm sorry, I'm not putting that on the quarterback. 1 against Georgia, the wide receiver fell, and he threw it right to a defensive back because the wide receiver fell. It's not his fault. Another one, and again, this is football, right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. The quarterback is just harassing Chris Brazzell, clearly DPI, and the ball is batted up in the air, and it's in the air for probably like 5 seconds, and our linebacker's just like, let me just wait here for it, and then he catches it. So like 4 to 5 of the 6 interceptions this year are truly not because of bad decisions. Now, one against Oklahoma or one against Alabama. Oh man, that was horrific, and certainly he wouldn't have had that one back. Yeah, no doubt.
The picture of the booth is still the funniest picture in the world of all of them. Like, no. But now I'm going to put you in witness protection right now, Eric, because you said nice things about Seth Litrell. I'm very terrified for your life right now. That is not a name that Oklahoma Sooners want to hear anymore after last year's disaster.
What was the issue? Was it him, Jackson Arnold? Was it the whole storm?
Yes.
What was going on?
It was everything. It was everything, and it felt like the confidence wasn't put into Jackson or Michael Hawkins with simplifying the play call for them. That's what a lot of the fans felt. When I watched a lot of the tape, it just felt like the quarterbacks just did not know what to do, and I assume it could be some teaching and everything. But the good thing is, Litrell was very solid working with Lebby as well when he was the analyst underneath him as the OC. You saw some additional wrinkles added in 23 for us. And so that's kind of what we thought we would get for Litrell, but it didn't. I don't know what kind of transpired there, but I digress. It's good to see that those Oklahoma boys, all 3 of them, are doing well on the offensive side. And
you had this as like the number 1 bullet point, and that's why I love these crossover shows. Sometimes we talk about what's on the rundown, sometimes we don't. Mm-hmm. Last year, I felt like last year was the whole, Heupel's going home, national storyline, Oklahoma SEC opener, all that was by design. Like, I felt like last year's when we did this whole dance, right? Yep. So far this week, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about Heupel, Oklahoma, here in Knoxville. What's it been like, down there in your neck of the woods? And do Oklahoma fans want this game more than others simply because not necessarily they just want to crush Heupel, but Heupel's one of theirs, or was at one time, and he got away. What does this game mean to the Oklahoma fan base, or any game, I guess, against Josh Heupel?
Oh, this one is huge for them because of how last year went down.
Yeah.
You force a fumble at the 5-yard line and give the ball back literally the next play. Then you force another fumble and you literally throw a lateral pass that fumbles and gives it back the next play. Sooner fans want the revenge for that. They are like, look, if Jackson Arnold was competent in that game, we probably had a chance of winning it. It was a fun, close game. There was a lot of opportunities for Oklahoma to actually keep it competitive and keep it very close. And it felt like the air out of the stadium was taken out the minute those turnovers kept happening. And so for Sooner fans, like the interception was 100% on Jackson Arnold looking right at your corner, and he was just like, hey, I'll take it. That was a perfect pass. And so that was great defensive scheming to where he couldn't even see the guy. But him giving the ball back 2 more times, everyone's still pissed about that. So it's not a crush Heupel thing. Everyone still loves him. They're not even talking about the Oklahoma thing. I had to throw that in there because I felt like it's still something. You got 3 dudes in your offensive staff from Oklahoma. That's the funny part. So no, we had to. That was definitely not being talked about here, but definitely more so a me thing. But when I look at the defense going up against this offense, like this veer and shoot usually spreads you out a lot. But like you said, I've been noticing there's new wrinkles been adding in there, and you're only running with 3 receivers. I would not have expected that. That to me is where I'm like, okay, how exactly is Heupel going to really spread everybody out? But you're right, motioning guys out of the backfield more often, which we do the same thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. That really does help for you to declare where you're going to be, who you're defending. Is it zone? Is it man zone? You can kind of get a better read. And that's, to me, where Joey Aguilar's eyes is going to be the biggest problem for Oklahoma. Like Trinidad Chambliss, the one thing I appreciate about him and Lane Kiffin and the way he runs things is he tells this dude, throw the ball. Hit the spot. This is your spot. These are your two looks. Get rid of it. And that's the good thing of having a former quarterback and a offensive genius running your O. He can really do that. Now, Ben Arbuckle is a lot younger than both of these coaches. 29 years old. You can tell he's taking his lumps right now. He's learning. He is trying to figure it out. He is trying to adjust it. And we'll talk about that here on the other side. I think Oklahoma's defense, they've got to get pressure. If we don't get pressure, we're screwed. Now, granted, we'll get tackles for loss. Like Deshaun Bishop's probably going to, I'm going to say, and I can declare this today, Deshaun Bishop will probably run for about 70 to 80 yards. He'll also get tackled for loss like 6 times.
Yeah.
And it's like infuriating. It's infuriating. Third down, please get another stop. You used to get a lot of them. Last week we didn't. We usually get a lot of good third down stops. We'll give up big plays, then we'll stop you for 2 plays, give up a big play, stop you for 3, get the punt, and in the next possession, it's another cycle. That's the thing that I need Oklahoma to do. Offensive line-wise, real quick, how confident are you in your offensive line this year compared to last?
Man, it's wild to say this, but so much more confident because last year they were all veterans. They had all played. Mm-hmm. You added in Lance Hurd, who was the new kid, and he certainly took his lumps. He was hurt, out of shape, especially that Oklahoma game. No, he didn't even play that Oklahoma game last year.
Did he get hurt before? He get hurt during the game or before that game? It was
before the game, yeah. Tennessee had, at one point in time, Tennessee had 2 backup tackles playing against Oklahoma, and that's why Heupel was like, let's just run the football. Because it was the strip sack game when Nico was strip sacked twice, yeah. But no, I like this offensive line. It's younger. It's more athletic. You went to the portal. Sam Pendleton at center. He's been solid. Wendell Moy from Arizona. His versatility to flip-flop around from left guard to right guard. And that's another thing. Tennessee went into the year with this 5 that they wanted to start. And then the morning before the Syracuse game, one of those guys, 5-star freshman David Sanders, is out. And so they had to adjust. So they flipped. Or the right guard had to shift out to right tackle. They flipped Moy, the Arizona transfer from left guard to right guard. They brought in a backup left guard, and they rolled with those guys, and those guys were great for 5 games. And now Sanders is back in the mix, so they're kind of flip-flopping around a little bit. They're playing 6 offensive linemen, which is kind of weird. But anyway, more athletic. They're learning a little bit, but this offensive line's been really good. They were really good up until the Alabama game where they gave up 4 sacks. They had given up 4 sacks entering that Alabama game 2 weeks ago. That was tied for the SEC lead. They give up 4 sacks. I think they're at 9 sacks now, which is still, I think, second or third in the SEC, which is really good. But this offensive line compared to last year is much better. Offensive line last year was just old and kind of beat up a little bit, and they were really, really struggling to make it through games at times.
Yeah, that's funny to even say. You had a whole big veteran line last year, and then this year it does feel like this line is playing a ton better. Plus, like you said, David Sanders hasn't really played, but you've got 8 dudes. They got dudes that played 8 games together, so that always helps. Let's talk Tennessee's defense versus Oklahoma's offense. We got a lot to say here on the crossover edition of Locked On Sooners and Locked On Vols. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Picks awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Thanks again for making Locked On Vols and Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers for tuning and subscribing to the shows. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let me hijack this real quick. Your team every day. Before I forget, We just talked about Tennessee's offensive line. Tell me about Oklahoma's offensive line. Doing some research, and again, I don't watch all the games.
Right.
True freshman starting at left tackle, and then is your right tackle in concussion protocol? And if so, another true freshman at right tackle? Are they bookend right now with true freshman tackles?
Right now, we are playing. It's a great starting point. That was actually one thing I was going to point out, so thank you for asking that. Yeah, we're playing 2 true freshmen. So Michael Fasusi came in. He was one of the top tackles in the country when we brought him in, and he did enough growth immediately to fight for that left tackle spot. The starting left tackle got hurt first game, like six plays in. He got hurt, and he's still kind of wobbling, so we don't know. I don't know if Jake Sexton's going to even come back this year. And because of that, Fasusi got thrusted in, and he was fantastic. He hurt his ankle late in the Michigan game, but he had a fantastic game there. And he was out for about a week or so, and he's been playing, but he's not been 100%, but he's playing a little bit. He's playing good enough, right? But you could see some of the freshman weaknesses. Right tackle-wise, we brought in a transfer in Derek Simmons. He's dealt with concussions most of his career. That's kind of been a problem of his. He kind of had a light one at the beginning. I think it was in camp or the beginning of the season. And then he got a concussion in practice recently. And because of that, you got to see right tackle Ryan Fogier, who was a top 10 tackle in the class last year. He got his snaps. Now, he played really good in this last game. And I had to give him props for being a freshman and going out there and feeling comfortable like he did. So for Oklahoma, yeah, we're playing 2 true freshmen at tackle. We've got a redshirt freshman at left guard next to Fasusi. So we're going back youth. The transfer Michael at the center. Right guard is a transfer for Vechiwewu, who's been here 2 years, but he's a redshirt junior. This is his second season, so he's got some. He's actually got some experience with us. And then, of course, another freshman at right tackle. So it's interesting. The funny thing is, when John Mateer actually sat in the pocket to throw, for the most part, he really wasn't pressured. I think there was 7 pressure in the game against Ole Miss out of the 80-something snaps that we had to do, which is a lot for us. We normally don't snap that much on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, like that. Actually, offensive side, sorry, you only snapped like 40-something times. So he had 7 snaps on 40-something. Our defense played 80 snaps, and that's not common for us. It's been John Mateer, get your eyes up, find your receivers. If he does that, we're fine. But then we also, with this new lineup on the offensive line, we found a run game. That's when we found against South Carolina. We didn't have that most of the season. We figured it out in that game.
Yeah, man, like that's something that's shocking to me. And again, like I'm not a Sooners expert, but I like everybody else, and that's why I always laugh at the national perspective, with Tennessee in the offseason, like, oh, they're going to be 4-8. It's like, well, have you seen this defense? Again, the defense sucks now, but in July it didn't, right?
It didn't.
So for me, I'm looking at Oklahoma and I'm like, okay, so Javontes Barnes, or that's his name, right? Like, I remember him last year. He's a pretty good back. And then I was like, you went out and got Jaden Ott. I know he missed 24, but, man, he was great in 23. Like, John Mateer, man, this offense, this run game is going to be great. Those 2 guys, and I don't know why, but have completely not factored in at all. And then you're right. 2 weeks ago, it's a true freshman that had, 100 yards and a touchdown on 19 carries. And then last week, a sophomore, 9 carries, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. Where does this run game come from, and why have those 2 guys as veterans not panned out at all?
So this is the second week for Tory Blaylock to get 100 yards. He got 100 yards against Temple as well. And so he's been emerging in practice for a bit. The bigger thing was we dealt with a lot of injuries coming in the summer. So Jaden Ott hurt his shoulder, and as you mentioned, 24, he was basically limited to an ankle injury, and to me, he had the yips. He was scared that he was going to hurt his shoulder again, and that was going to factor in the way that he was able to play, and it just didn't work out. Like, I remember him at the presser saying the difference between being at Cal and being at Oklahoma is here they care. And I think that care is starting to kick him in the butt now of, hey, either you give a bleep about playing here or we're not going to be playing around with you. Tory Blaylock showed up. He's been healthy about 90% of the time. He hurt his shoulder right after the first game, but he's been good the entire time. And then Xavier Robinson was dealing with a hamstring injury, but he's the one that ran for 100-something yards against Alabama in that big upset game last year. And so X-Rod, we knew he had it. He's big. He's a bigger kid. He's about 6'2", 6'3", like 240 is when he came in. He was dropping his weight down to like 215, 220-ish. I think he's still running at around 225, 230. But he's got enough speed at a 4.5 to where when he finds a hole, he's gone. And so the confidence of a running back saying, this is the hole and I'm going to go for it, is what Oklahoma's been chasing. But the line's been making enough holes. The backs weren't seeing it. Barnes, he wasn't just hitting the hole right. He just wasn't finding the right holes that we noticed. And honestly, I suspect he's probably going to redshirt and go ahead and transfer out for his last year, because he's played all 4 years. This year he's only played 4 games, but he's played every year here at Oklahoma since he's been here as a true freshman. And so it's been just amazing to see those 2 young guys emerge, and I'm hoping that that's our running back room going forward. Just run those 2 nonstop. If we would have ran more against Ole Miss, ask any Sooner fan, they'll tell you we probably could have closed that game out, because we were finding success. You get the big run, and then the next possession, X-Rob's finding holes and going. But it's like Ben Arbuckle is dedicated to trying to figure out how to get John Mateer going. Stop handing him the ball. It's okay. Teams know he's not going to really run it, so they're going to take advantage of that.
If you would have told me back in July that those 2 running backs would not have a combined 150 yards 8 games in, or whatever it is, I'd call you a liar. Like, it's mind-blowing to me. But other options, younger options, and so you're exactly right. Like, despite a new look, younger offensive line right now with the banged up quarterback, or at least, coming off an injury, you're finding a run game, which is, better late than never. And, Tennessee, who's had some issues defending the runs at times this year, certainly will have to look out for that.
Yeah, and especially the SEC. It's one of the things I realize more and more that we're here is you got to establish the run, and you've got to eat clock. The more clock you eat, the better off you are. Last week, Ole Miss had the ball for 35 minutes. When I was talking to Stephen Willis on Locked On Ole Miss, he's like, that's not normal for Lane Kiffin. We don't ever have the ball for 30 minutes.
Kiffin goes fast, not as fast as Heupel, but like Tennessee never wins a time of possession, but like Lane Kiffin is about as in Levy, about as close to Heupel as anybody.
Exactly. And so, but Heupel, Kiffin changed his entire game plan. He went huddle and he sat there 15 seconds, then he dispersed. I'm wondering if Josh Heupel would do something similar, even though you're at home, the weather should be favorable. So there's no weather factor, in which that's what Lane Kiffin was leveraging, was the weather on his side. Yeah. Smart, especially when you play with the speed and the confidence they do. But defensively for you all, with all those changes, who's the person that Oklahoma needs to keep an eye out on that defensive line when we're going to try to run the ball? Is it that bad now?
When you're trying to run the ball, I don't know. I mean, probably Jackson Moy in the interior. Again, Tennessee's just not been very good defending the run this year. It's unfortunate. I can tell you who on the defensive front you got to look out for, like just in general, and pass rusher. I mean, Tennessee's got some Leos that can flat out get after it, and Joshua Joseph's NFL guy, Jordan Ross, young guy, former 5-star, Caleb Herring, all those guys will play. And they'll be on the field at the same time. They'll mix some things up in that regard. And you've got Don Bailey, who can play DN. He'll slide inside a D tackle. He's been a pretty good pass rusher this year. Tennessee's got a number of guys that can really get after the quarterback. But to answer your question about who to look out for in terms of defending the run for Tennessee, it's not been very good this year. So I think that speaks volumes right there.
Yep, that tells me everything I need to know. And so hopefully for us, we'll take advantage of that. Let's get a final prediction. What do you think this score is going to end up being, Garrett?
Gosh, man, first time this week I've actually thought about a score. So as I always say, I reserve the right to change this later in the week, or like the score. I'm going to have Tennessee winning because, I think Oklahoma's a good team, but like I think the Neyland factor is real. I think Neyland Stadium carries a lot of weight. Tennessee's lost to Georgia, and only Georgia since the 2022 season, since 2022 on at Neyland Stadium. So first night game as well. It's hard to believe this is the first night game at Neyland all year long.
Wow.
Dark mode. It's going to be a show. I know you're not going. You're not. You're.
Oh no,
going?
I will be there. I fly in Friday, so yes.
It is going to be a show. Like spotlight running through the tee, get there early, enjoy it. Like it's going to be fun. So I think there's going to be some added juice to this. And plus, Josh Heupel wants this game more than any game on the schedule. He is a competitive guy. He loves Oklahoma. But just like last year, he wants to beat Oklahoma. And he's going to do anything he can to beat Oklahoma. And he does not like the Stoops family. Hates the Stoops family. I know Stoops didn't run the show anymore, or are they? Heupel wants this game more than anything. So, FanDuel's got it 3.5, 57.5. Give me Tennessee. I think I'm going to hit the over. Actually, am I going to hit the over? Yeah, Tennessee defense is really bad. Give me the over. Give me Tennessee winning 31. Ole Miss put up 34, right? Give me Tennessee 34, Oklahoma 31. I think it's going to be a tight one. I think Tennessee's going to find a way in the end at home to win.
I'm actually close to you on that. I think Oklahoma's defense, weather being a little bit more favorable, bounces back and doesn't stop, but slows down this super fast offense. But I think Tennessee today, late in the week, I have reserved the right to switch my pick, but I think Tennessee ends up closing this one out. I think it's going to be 30-27. And it's going to be the first time Tennessee's defense holds a team under 30 points in the SEC. I don't know if it's real, but I reserve the right to change. But right now, I think it's a 3-point game, too. I don't think the spread is covered right now. I think Oklahoma covers the spread for the first time on the road in a while. But, yeah, this is going to be
Technically, Tennessee's defense held Alabama to under 30 because Tennessee's offense gave up 9 points. But,
fair.
You know. It's all bad. It's still bad. Still bad.
That's a very good point. I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. So, all right, make sure you check out Eric Cain over there at Locked On Vols. Check out me and John over at Locked On Sooners. We appreciate y'all joining us today. Have a good weekend, and we will see you all afterwards on this Locked On crossover edition on the Podcast Network.
Let's go.
Boomer Sooner.